Good afternoon. I'm honored to be speaking to you all today, and I must say that as the day got closer and closer, and the reality of looking out and speaking to all of you became more and more real, I thought really seriously about taking the easy way out and just copying one of Michelle Obama's speeches. But after some thought, I decided you all deserve better. As I think fondly on my time as an international comparative studies major, I remember being a freshman. And when I was in the intro class taught by Professor Namakal, Comparative Approaches to Global Issues, I'd chosen to take this class because I was still trying to decide whether to pursue political science, or which this class fell under, or public policy. When I finished the class, I still hadn't chosen between those two, but I now knew that I had to fit an ICS major into my 8 semesters at Duke somehow as well. During this first course, I remember being assigned a reading about a process that was called voluntourism, an essay that called into question whether the methods of mission trips and the brand of altruism they perpetuate can actually do more harm than good in the very communities they're meant to assist. I remember being shocked by the premise of the paper. I had always thought that mission trips were always a good thing. Maybe in some cases they are, and maybe in some cases they aren't. But one of the things that makes this major a special one is that the things we learn in our classes call into question all of the processes and institutions we never thought to question before, and show us that even these things can be subject to legitimate critique. I remember when I first learned the lesson that nothing and no one is above criticism. I was in high school, and I got a progress report that showed I wasn't doing so well in Spanish. Amongst my other fairly good grades, I figured struggling a bit in one class wouldn't be a big deal. My mother thought otherwise. She taught me that I always had room for improvement. And on this Mother's Day, I have to thank my wonderful mom and the other important women in my life who are out in the audience, because without them, their high expectations and their insistence that I never stop challenging myself, I wouldn't be standing here before you today. The lessons that she taught me are part of what led me to pursue ICS. That introductory class and the classes that I've taken since have given me the opportunity to look at the world and say the very thing my mom said when she looked at my progress report. You can do better than that. And we can do better than that. My fellow members of this graduating class will probably remember a metaphor we heard during our opening convocation 4 years ago. I remember Dean Steve Nowicki describing Duke students as oysters. He said that real challenges would cause us serious discomfort while at Duke and irritate us like sand lodged in an oyster's shell, but that from this discomfort would come a pearl. I still remember sitting in the chapel and thinking to myself that this metaphor was pretty ridiculous. But I've surprised myself, because I now think his metaphor was incredibly appropriate. I didn't choose to become an ICS major because I felt obligated or because the classes I took made me feel at home. I chose the major for the same reason I think most of us did, because the ideas and the perspectives I was learning about were new ones. Because these classes took every idea I accepted as true without question and turned it on its head. And the process of grappling with the difficult topics and relevant subjects within this major has been anything but easy. I can think of a number of times where the emotional and intellectual toll of an intense class discussion felt like grains of sand in my shell. But, my fellow graduates, instead of running from the discomfort of a class that asks us to consider a point of view antithetical to our own, we embraced it. We went on to take these difficult courses in a variety of subjects, both here at Duke and while studying abroad all over the world. So now, when a new idea seems so radical or so alien or so unusual to me that it makes me uncomfortable, I'm happy. Because of my ICS major, I now know that this feeling of discomfort means there's room for me to grow another pearl. My time as a student in this department has been a pearl in my life, as I'm sure it has been in all of ours. And as we go off into the real world, my fellow graduates, I leave you with the hope that Dean Nowicki's metaphor has instilled in me, that our time of growing pearls is far from over. Thank you.